Next this afternoon, a chance to join Sarah Kennedy and her guests for another lively daytime.
And now, here's Poochie!
Oh, is a pink and her paws are too. And look at all the things she's got for you. Oh, Poochie.
There's Poochie's own stamper, pencils, paper, and reminders for your busy days. Poochie's cute beauty sets for your pretty face, and lots more.
Lovely little Poochie.
New from Mattel, the world's #1 name in toys.
It's full up, Dunk.
Oh no! Tipsy breakfast!
Look out, Brains.
Let's blast them in neat wheat.
Quick, Bixie.
Send them packing, Crunch. We've won!
Hooray! Weetabix.
If you know what's good for you.
Okay.
No other ketchup tastes like Heinz. Because no other ketchup is richer or thicker than Heinz. Heinz is rich with juicy tomatoes. So it'll never be thin on flavor. There's no taste better than Heinz.
Okay, June. So, where's this carnival?
Terry, it's the Electricity Board's Cooker Carnival.
Cookers?
Yes, look, this tricity's only £235, and if we trade in our old electric cooker, we can save £50 on this Belling or £75 on this Preda oven and hob. And there's free delivery.
Sounds like my kind of carnival, June.
Shop Electric, get a good deal at your Electricity Board shop.
Heinz Invaders. Spaghetti space-shaped in tomato sauce. Heinz Invaders, a force to be reckoned with.
What have you got there? Oh, Rolo.
It is my last one.
Well, have it.
Yeah, but then you won't have one, and I'll feel bad.
Well, then give it to me.
Yeah, but then I won't have one, and you'll feel bad.
Problems.
Do you love anyone enough to give them your last Rolo? Soft, creamy toffee in a milk chocolate cup.
Problem solved.
But what happens when we get to the last one again?
I did hear, Gareth, that Nescafé is an original.
And absolutely exclusive.
It certainly is.
Absolutely.
Exclusive.
Yes. The special blend and roast that gives you the richer, smoother Nescafé taste. Absolutely exclusive, Peter, in this one jar.
And nowhere else.
Just in this jar, eh? What a shame they only made the one.
Absolutely exclusive. Because Nescafé don't make coffee for anyone else.
Go for gold in TV Times. Get your free bracelet, win this fabulous gold pen, and meet me, Robin Asquith, amongst the gold tops.
We Love TV is a new quiz show beginning this Friday on ITV.
Hi, I'm Gordon Thompson. Do you know the name of the character I play on Dynasty or Dynasty? And do you know in what city the show is set?
Well, if you know the answers to questions like these, you'll want to play the game that tests your knowledge of television programs old and new. It's called We Love TV.
Let's get going!
All right!
Saturday at 10:15, Robert Redford leads an all-star cast in A Bridge Too Far.
Come on! Bring up the pier!
Sunday at 7:45, Princess Daisy, Lindsay Wagner, the mother she worships, who deserts her. Stacey Keach, the playboy father, whose secret tears her childhood to shreds. Paul Michael Glazer, her first love and first betrayal. Robert Ulrich, the power breaker, determined to own her. And Rupert Everett, the half-brother with the knowledge to destroy her. Merit Van Camp is Princess Daisy, the glittering highlight of this weekend on ITV. Channel 4 goes racing in a few seconds when Bruff Scott introduces 4 races from the afternoon meeting at Doncaster. Here on YTV, it's time to start today's Talking Point with Sarah Kennedy and Daytime.
Hello there and welcome to Thursday's Daytime. And before I forget, thank you all very much for all your interest in Tuesday's programme. I don't know if you saw it on food allergies and junk food turning you into a criminal. Well, today we go down the Mall and peer through the railings of Buckingham Palace at that increasingly rare species, a royal family. There are now only 8 left in Europe, that's including our own, the House of Windsor. But with another royal baby in the offing, we'll be hearing from some royal watchers, some royal fanatics, abolitionists, and of course our studio audience. The question, is the royal family value for money? All of them. Well, let's ask our studio audience first of all, is the royal family value for money? Who's got an opinion on that?
I think the whole world admires our monarchy, and the monarchy is stable and will be there forever.
Oh, you've been doing some homework. Thank
Yes.
you. Who doesn't agree with that?
Me.
You, sir?
Yeah, they're unelected heads of state, which doesn't really fit in with my idea of democracy. They cost millions of taxpayers' money when there's 3 million unemployed. And if we stopped paying the royalty and started investing in our coal mines and our industries, Britain would be a better place.
Thank you. You, sir?
I think it's really wonderful how England has kept their heritage for so long, but even though it's still an awful lot of money to spend on just one family.
Now, you're not British, are you?
No, American.
You're visiting?
Yes.
Well, thank you. We'll look forward to hearing from some Americans later on. Well, whether you like them or not, there's no doubt that the royal family does generate business. Put Princess Diana on the cover of a magazine, and we all know that the sales just rocket. She sells more papers than bingo, and her supremacy is only challenged, would you believe, by a picture of the Pope. She's saved the hat industry single-headedly, and her preference for low-heeled shoes has put the soul back into the British shoe industry. Yes, Princess Diana has come a long way in 3 years from that shy nursery school teacher.
I wanted to teach children, and they said, why not come along? So I first started off doing afternoons, and then I took over the mornings and did whole days. But I only worked 3 days a week at kindergarten, and the other 2 I looked after an American baby boy, which nobody seems to realise. It was very special to me.
Well, an American newspaper editor has been quoted as saying, Diana is the greatest media personality of the decade. We're looking forward to the second baby, and of course, then there's the coronation. But what does the royal family cost us, the British taxpayer? Well, annually, we pay to the Queen nearly £4 million. The Queen Mother, over £320,000. Prince Philip, nearly £180,000. Princess Anne, nearly £112,000. Princess Margaret, £108,000, and then the Princes Andrew and Edward, £20,000 each, but the Queen has limited Prince Edward to £8,500 per annum. And this, of course, doesn't include the Queen's flight, the royal trains, the cost of royal tours, the royal yacht, etc., and the upkeep of the royal palaces. Well, our bill last year came to the grand total of £27.5 million. And no, we haven't forgotten the Prince of Wales and his family. They receive no direct sum from the state. His income comes from the Duchy of Cornwall. Before marrying, he gave half to the state instead of tax. And since marrying, he gives only 25%. Wives must be expensive business. The Queen, one of the richest women in the world, doesn't pay tax on any of her income. So how typical are we compared with the other 7 royal families? Khalid Aziz, Daytime's royal correspondent, has gone to Holland to tiptoe through the Dutch royal family.
Well, Sarah, here in Holland, the Dutch have a rather different approach to royalty than we do back in Britain. For a start, it costs them less. There are fewer members of the Dutch royal family in receipt of direct state aid. And there's another big difference, too. The Dutch claim that their Queen Beatrix has far more of the common touch as our Queen Elizabeth. But are they really getting value for money? A little later on, I shall be talking to a Dutch court journalist who claims that our Queen Elizabeth gives us more value for our pound than does Queen Beatrix give the Dutch for their guilder.
Well, if you don't approve of a monarchy, you're left, of course, with a republic like France or America, where the head of government is also the head of state. President Mitterrand and President Reagan being examples. I wonder if there are any true republicans here. Are there? Anybody? True republican. True republican. You, sir. Why do you think that is a better system?
I don't know. I just disagree totally with the royal family. I don't see why they're there in the first place. They're just like puppets. They're empty.
Any other republicans? Any other republicans? Quite like to hear from some republicans.
Yes, well, one of the things about the royal family is that they perpetuate the hereditary system, which, of course, is internationally discredited now
What do you mean by
throughout the world.
internationally discredited?
Well, I mean, most countries have got rid of the hereditary system.
Well, thank you very much. Well, joining us on the programme today, Audrey Whiting, a long-time royal watcher and journalist, of course, and Harry Greenway, Conservative MP for Ealing North, and Simon Hoggart, Observer writer, who covered the Australian royal tour in 1983. And Dennis Canavan, Labour MP for Falkirk West, is in Edinburgh. Good afternoon, Dennis.
Good afternoon.
You're a Republican. Can you tell us why?
Well, basically for two reasons. I mean, I've got nothing against the Queen as a person, or indeed individual members of the royal family, or the royal family as a family. But I am against the monarchy as an institution, because I think it was one of your studio audience who said previously that it is a hereditary principle. It's like the House of Lords. It's an enshrinement of the hereditary principle, whereby power is handed on to what is usually the oldest son. So there's an element of male chauvinism mixed up in the whole system too.
And what's your other objection?
My other objection is the massive cost. I mean, nearly £30 million of taxpayers' money every year at a time when we've got coming up for 4 million people unemployed, minors and their wives and families, some of them being expected to survive on as little as £20 per week supplementary benefit.
Dennis, I'm sure, if I may interrupt, there are many people, many royalists who are unemployed watching the programme today. I mean, can you speak for them? You can't really, can you?
Oh, I dare say if we had a referendum tomorrow, then I think that the majority of the people in Britain would probably be in favour of retaining the monarchy in some way or another. But nevertheless, I think that there is a great deal of resentment, widespread resentment, about the massive accumulation of wealth, and much of it at the taxpayers' expense. And I think that they could do the job just as well with much less expenditure.
Can I put this point to you, though, that the Queen has been around actually sovereignty in Britain has been around 4 centuries before Parliament, 3 centuries before the law courts, going back to 829, I think, with King Egbert, I think, what a name. Isn't it our duty to preserve the royal family like we would look after our old buildings?
Well, that's almost like saying that we should preserve all tribal rights and this right of heredity and so on. I'm sure there would be justifiable criticism if I were to say that my eldest son were to automatically succeed me as a member of Parliament for Falkirk West. And yet that is precisely what the situation is like regarding the royal family.
Thank you very much. Now, will you chip in, please? Because although you're not in the studio, we can hear you, obviously, and see you. So we'll come back to you a little later on, Dennis. Let's go over to Mr. Greenway now. What is it they've been called? A cosy distraction, the royal family, echoing Dennis's thoughts there, that it takes our mind off unemployment and the miners' strike.
I think that's absolute nonsense. The royal family, in fact, give leadership to the nation, social leadership, leadership of every kind, and are very valuable. And one of the things that Dennis failed to say was that they undertake long and prestigious tours abroad, right across America, say, or Canada, and the rest. That promotes enormous interest in this country. Trade follows that, and that helps our balance of trade and work and jobs for everybody in this country.
Can you, Mr. Greenway, say of a particular deal that the Queen has brought off?
No, because I don't think she's in the business of bringing off particular deals.
£27 million, there's an awful lot to pay, isn't it? Taking Dennis's point, there are an awful lot of people unemployed. Couldn't we put that money to better use?
Well, that makes it sound very simple. A lot of people are employed for that 27 million, a very large number. And at the top of it, we have this family who make it whose job it is to represent this country abroad and to be figureheads in this country. They're outside politics. What's the alternative? That's what I say. Do we want a president here, as we have in Russia, or as they have in Russia, or as they have in America? You know, the President of the United States has 300 bodyguards, no less. Think of the cost of that.
Let's move away from America just for the moment. Let me just ask you all, should the Queen pay tax on her private income?
Yes.
All right, let's have a show of hands. People who think the Queen should pay tax on her income. And those who say no? Right. I think...
In a way, the Queen does pay tax on her income because she, in fact, supplements the civil list. She pays many hundreds of thousands of pounds a year out of her own money to make up the civil list which she gets from the state. And in 1979, the Crown lands brought into our country's exchequer £7.5 million, of which she only received £3 million of her own money. So
thank you, Mr. Greenwood. Let's ask... All right, does someone want to say something there? No, just...
3 million. I'd just like to say, he said that they're outside politics, so how come is it that in 1975 the Queen actually instructed the Governor-General of Australia to sack the Labour government? If that's outside politics?
Let's not get into Australia, if we may. Let's concentrate now, Audrey. Is the royal family an anachronism? I was just thinking, she has ladies of the bedchamber, extra ladies of the bedchamber, and then more women of the bedchamber. Now, what are they used for, all these women of the bedchamber?
I mean, I would say that, let me say straight away that I'm all in favour of the royal family because I cannot see any substitutes. You asked the question about ladies of the bedchamber, women of the bedchamber. Now, these are very ancient offices, but if you analyse their actual jobs, it's very simple and very necessary.
What is it, then?
They are ladies, they're all ladies. The senior lady-in-waiting, in point of fact, is the Mistress of the Robes. It's a very old title. But what they actually do is accompany the Queen when she's working, touring this country or abroad. They're with her with notes, guiding her when she's being introduced to people. They're there, if you like, as super secretaries. So they do a real job.
Thank you. Simon Hoggart, value for money or just a bit of a swan when they go on these royal tours?
Well, I take absolutely the point that the Queen ought to pay tax on her private income, which is phenomenal. She is the only person in the world who regards Great Britain as an offshore tax haven. But that said, you've also got to look at the £27 million, which is the civil list, and which is what the taxpayer, what all of us pay towards the ceremonial of royalty. Royalty is a sort of status symbol of a symbol of Britain, if you like. And that works out, if you think about it, at 1 penny per week per head for every man, woman and child in this country. Now, even if Margaret Thatcher came personally round to everybody's door and pushed a penny through it each week, at the end of the year, you'd have enough to buy, what, half a cheeseburger or something. So it seems to me that though £27 million is a lot of money, in public terms, it's absolute peanuts. It wouldn't buy...
What about all the rest of the royal family, though? I mean, you've been with Prince Charles and Princess Diana. Is it value for money or is it a swan when they go off on these things? And we see them on boats and having bits around their hair and all that. What do we get out of it?
No, it's stupendously boring. Terribly dull.
Yes, but is it worth doing?
Can I just put one point?
Sure.
I think one thing that people tend to forget is a lot of the royals don't like doing the job at all. I mean, everybody thinks how marvellous it would be to be Princess Margaret or Princess Anne.
No, they don't get paid.
Business. They don't get paid. They are
This lady in the red. This lady in the red.
The civil list is for expenses.
£3 million.
She has a lady in the world, isn't she?
I think the point about the tours, if I may say so, is that it is very hard work. You read in the papers that you write and that others write that the Queen meets 2,000 people in a day. 2,000 people in a day, shakes hands.
With 40 people in a minute.
That's right, and all that sort of thing. And to every person whom she meets, that's very important. And she's done a job for Britain of a very important nature.
Thank you. Well, let's now just see exactly how our royal family equates with the Dutch royal family, because that's where Khalid Aziz is actually at the moment, in Holland, making a few comparisons. Over to you, Khalid.
Well, traditionally, the Dutch have always thought they've had rather good value for money from their royal family, and certainly on the face of it, that looks to be the case. £7 million for Queen Beatrix and her royal family, as opposed to £27 million for Queen Elizabeth and her royal family. But were they really getting value for money? Quite recently, this newspaper, De Telegraaf, which is Holland's largest circulation daily, conducted a survey to see just what value the Dutch were getting compared to other monarchies. The person who was in charge of that survey was their court correspondent, Jos Hagers. Jos, just tell me what you discovered from your survey.
Well, I came to the conclusion we compared the British with the Dutch royal family, and however the Dutch royal family doesn't get so much money as the British royal family do much more work. Queen Elizabeth, for example, is much more busy than Queen Beatrix. Queen Elizabeth has about 400 appointments a year to nearly 200 to Queen Beatrix. And the whole royal family from England has 2,000 engagements a year, up to 400 for the Dutch royals.
So it's quite a difference in the comparison. What about the attitude, though, of the Dutch to their royal family? Because when Queen Beatrix was crowned, there were demonstrations, weren't there?
Yes, these were special demonstrations on squatters because they protest against the cost of the monarchy. But I think that in general, the Dutch public is very happy with Queen Beatrix, in general speaking, and also opinion polls has showed very clearly that most of the Dutch people are very happy with the Dutch royal family.
You know, Jos, I get the impression, talking to Dutch people here today, that they still don't like talking too much about the Dutch royal family.
Well, I think they like to talk about the Queen as a person, but still talking about financial side of the royal family is, just as in England, the last taboo.
We're certainly not the last taboo here, because that's exactly what we're doing, talking about the royal family. Let's now talk about change of style, because I think, as Dennis said in Edinburgh, if there was a referendum, the royal family would stay. But should the monarchy open up more? Now, let's just ask around the audience. Do you like seeing Prince Charles, for example, doing Jackanory?
Yes.
Who said yes?
Yes.
Yeah, why is that?
I think it just makes they make things more interesting. Newspapers, television, they're just so interesting on whatever they do.
But do you think they should have more of the common touch? Anyone else who feels that they should have more of the common touch?
No.
Yeah, I think they should kind of be...
More common touch, yes. I mean, I throw this to you. There's Queen Margrethe of Denmark. She wanders around the supermarket in stiletto heels and funny hats, smoking cigarettes. Is that the sort of monarchy that we'd like?
No.
Why not? Why not?
You said so. The royal family. There'd be nothing to look to if they were just normal. I mean, they'd get mobbed for a start off.
Well, what do you want something to look up to?
Lady up there. Hang on, just one at a time, folks. Folks, one at a time.
Thousands of pounds I bring into
One at a time, Albin.
They've gained their popularity in America, I think, when Lady Diana married Prince Charles. And to us now, you know, they're a fairy tale. It's really neat.
Why don't you take
This lady. This lady over here.
I think you do get your value for your money because as many billions of pounds as they cost you a year, look how much they bring in tourism-wise.
Now, how many of you tourists actually have come to try and get a glimpse of the Queen and Buckingham Palace rather than just to see Britain? All of you? All of you. Now, all right, I put this to our British audience. Maybe the foreigners value our royal family more than we do. What do you think?
No.
Well,
we do.
If they value them
Envious? Envious? Yes, they do. Gentlemen at the back.
Yeah, I think if they value them that much, we should give them to them.
We don't want Nancy Reagan over here, do we? Let's go to Audrey now. Do you think... all right, let's talk about personalities. When they all sit round the breakfast table, does the Queen say, no, I think we're going too far, and Charles and Diana say, come on, we've got to become more of the people, Mum?
I don't know what goes on. I must be honest about the breakfast table. The Queen's never, or nobody else has invited me to go. But I think what we are in the process is of watching a period of great change in the royal family. If you think of the Queen, for instance, she maintains the mystique. She never gives interviews. She never talks in public except sort of formal speeches. But Prince Charles and the Princess of Wales are opening it up. Now, the thing we have to ask ourselves is, how much are they going to open it up? Are they going to open it too far, too much?
What's the danger then, Audrey?
Well, the thing is, I don't think many people really know what they want out of monarchy. That's why we're asking all these questions today. Do we want them to be one of the people riding a bicycle? My evidence is people don't want that. They want them to be distanced. And so for Prince Charles and the Princess of Wales, who are the future King and Queen, they are going to set the pattern. How near are they going to come to, if you like, the common touch? What are they going to do with their child?
Will
Are they
Diana
going to do a
influence
village
Charles
school?
enormously?
Pardon?
Will Diana influence Charles enormously? In other words, change the monarchy in Britain?
Well, if most marriages, one husband influences the wife, it's an interreaction if it's a good marriage. This appears to be a very good marriage. So, in fact, it is the individual strengths and the coming together of these two people who will establish the monarchy, shall we say, for 2000 and plus. And what will they do? Let's hope they keep on opening it up.
Simon Hoggart, what about the Princess Margarets, the Princess Annes, all the, dare I say, hangers-oners, not the direct ones?
Well, I think that the point about the monarchy, the real problem that they've got to face, and us as well, is this, that, say, 30 years ago, the whole thing was completely formal, completely distanced. You never read anything except official statements. You maybe saw the king once on his Christmas message if you had a television. Right. Since then, and of course in those days when the Prince of Wales, later the king, was actually having an affair with a woman who'd been divorced, everybody on the continent and in North America knew, but nobody here did. The papers didn't even print it. Now you can't open a copy of The Sun or the Daily Mirror without actually reading pretty well every day who Prince Andrew spent last night in bed with.
But isn't that right that we should know?
Contrast, isn't it?
Do we have a right to know? No. Audrey?
I was going to put a point. This is where I think you're getting a degree of overexposure, and one has to look ahead again. I repeat this: look ahead to see what's going on, because in the end, whether you're talking about the sex life or the domestic life of any of these people, you're going to get bored with it in time. As they get older, they're going to be uninteresting. Who's interested in a 55-year-old?
There are two things, aren't they? They are a family as well as being an institution in the sense that they're a monarchy. And as a family, I think people do like to see them. They like to identify them. Everyone's waiting for the birth of the new baby. Everyone will be interested in the christening and all the rest of it. There's no question about it. All over this country, people from every walk of life, rich and poor alike, are very interested. And they see them particularly as a family. But of course, they have the important constitutional role as well.
Thank you. You're very anti up there. Why do you not look forward to the birth of another royal baby?
Well, because there's one more to get rid of eventually, but that's not the point. The point is that this Tory MP has said that they give a moral lead. Now, the fact is that Prince Andrew fiddled his way into Cambridge on less grades than anybody else has.
Prince Edward got half the points required to get into Cambridge.
Right.
First university of this country, yet he was let in because he was...
Right. That was one moral lead. There's another
point. Let Mr. Greenway answer.
That's completely untrue.
That is not.
I was a schoolmaster for 20 years before going into Parliament. I happened to talk to people who saw some of his papers. And they saw that they agreed that his papers were totally up to standard. And people going to Cambridge with no O-levels at all and no A-levels. He had 4 A's. People going to Cambridge and Oxford with none at all.
Mr. Greenway, thank you. Let's ask Dennis Canavan in Edinburgh. Dennis, what do you feel about this?
Dennis is a schoolmaster too.
The person who asked the question from the studio audience, because I think that it must be admitted, even by royal toadies such as Harry Greenway, that it's much easier for Prince Charles or Prince Andrew or Prince Edward to get into Oxford or Cambridge than it is for many other young people who are leaving the school at this particular time and are finding it impossible, despite good qualifications, to get into any university or college or institute of higher education. And I think that's deplorable. And I think, really, if people in the royal family, it's not for me to advise them on their public relations, but if they're interested in their own self-survival, then they ought to adopt a more common approach and a more egalitarian approach.
I would say, can I say this to Dennis, as a professional royal basher, that he should talk to the people who actually admitted Prince Edward to Cambridge. You know, then you'll know, Dennis.
Let's move on
yes, well, you'll know them better than I do.
Dennis, is there a Labour Party policy towards the royal family?
There isn't as such. I've never known in all the years I've been going to Labour Party conference for the monarchy as an institution to be debated. Although there is quite a lot of criticism of the expenditure on the part of Labour Party activists and indeed Labour Party supporters, and even people who would not go as far as abolition of the monarchy find it absolutely obscene that all these millions of pounds should be spent. I mean, £150,000 per year on garden parties for the likes of Harry Greenway.
Now, you two have started a slagging match. Thank you. Let's change the subject and have a nice royal story. Simon Hoggart, on the tour, why are they so loved abroad? I mean, our American visitors here have been endorsing that. Why?
I think they've become like, and the danger is that they'll become a kind of soap opera. The old joke is that it should be called Palace instead of Dallas. that they've become international film stars, basically. And this came home to me in Australia, where we went with the royal tour to a little town which had been burnt out during the terrible forest fires there. And they had a lot of people there who'd been hideously maimed. Many of the people in the town had died. Others were maimed, burned for life. The children of the town had been locked away in a school, and the flames only just missed, killing all these little children. And so it was one of the most devastating places I'd ever been to. And the Princess of Wales turned up, and she'd clearly been briefed very carefully what to say. And she went up to the first woman she came to in the welcoming line and said, I do hope you don't think that we're intruding on your private grief. And the woman gazed at her and said, oh, it was worth it just to have you here. And I thought that was sick, really, in a way. If it's got to that extent, then things have gone a little too far.
Well, if I just butt in, this is the question. Has it got as sick as Simon indicates? Right. I mean, my interest in the royal family now is, why is everybody identifying with them? The Queen Mother becomes everybody's wanted grandmother. The Queen is the great mother figure. Now we have the children getting married and the baby. It is almost like a play that's been acted out. And where is it going to stop? You can't say this is a British monarchy anymore. It is constitutionally, but it's spread around the world. Japan, everywhere. And so we're all identifying, or most of us are, children, old people. We obviously need them for a very different reason to what we did, if you like, a century ago.
Thank you. Very briefly, because we're running out of time now, who is your favourite member of the royal family? Let's just ask this section here.
Princess Di.
Princess Di?
Queen Ma's down to earth and she's more common like us people rather than snobs.
I don't think she'd like to think of herself as common, but it's a good point. Over here, who's your favourite? The Queen?
Queen Mother.
Princess Diana. Queen Mother. Diana. Nobody said Prince Charles at all. Prince William. He hasn't done anything wrong yet. Well, that's it, I'm afraid, for today. The debate goes on. Try and join us for Tuesday's programme. In the meantime, from our lovely studio audience, you've really been fine. From us all, goodbye.
If you'd like to take part in the daytime programme, the number to ring is 01 388 2345. The lines are open now and will remain open until 4 p.m.
New season entertainment for Thursday night on YTV. At 7 Emmerdale Farm, has Jack overstepped the mark?
Sugden, 550. Thank you.
Best thing I've done all year, this.
At 7:30, someone has designs on the Knight Rider.
Hold it, Bravo! We must have that car. And Michael Long.
And the chips are down at 8:30 in Duty Free.
Madame, please be careful when you place your bets.
Do you want that, Dulcie?
I'm very sorry.
Well, he doesn't understand you.
Oh, very sorry.
At 9, political words of wisdom from the gaffer.
Now, Councillor, there's a rumour going round you to be the next mayor. That's surprising, isn't it? You've been so new on the council.
Oh, no. I mean, these days it's not just what you know. It's not even who you know. It's what you know about who you know.
At 10:30, the final of Miss Yorkshire Television 1984, in which 6 girls vie to succeed Karen Boston. With a new series of TVI at 9:30 and The Streets of San Francisco at 11:15, that's Thursday night on ITV. And Jamie's cousin Willie turns up in Glendara when we take the high road next this afternoon.
Chicken. And no bones.
New McCain Tenderchoice. 3 great new ways of serving chicken.
Bakelets, fingers or nuggets.
In lightly seasoned golden breadcrumb. No hassle.
As simple as fish fingers and beef burgers.
Wow, man, some chicken.
McCain Tenderchoice. Some chicken.
I get bottle every morning, bottle out of sight. Bottle for my jogging, I get bottle every night. 'Cause when I go to bed before I put out the light, I get fresh, get bottle. Hold us, give the sandwich, give the little or a lot. Nothing's got the bottle like what fresh milk has got. Get fresh, get bottle.
boosters. Always high in fibre. It's their aim to bombard the boredom out of Bran, making sure when it comes to the taste, Farmhouse Bran is right on target. Oh, what a crisp performance! Farmhouse Bran is good stuff. New honey and nut, banana and apple, and original Farmhouse Bran. Reach for the taste.
On Channel 4 tonight, Merchant Ivory's film The Courtesans of Bombay.
There are 4,000 to 5,000 souls living in this compound. The place is known as Pavanpur. They all belong to the same profession and earn their livelihood by singing and dancing. And things go on there that is better not to know about.
The Courtesans of Bombay, tonight at 9:30 on Channel 4.
On YTV now, our destination is Scotland, and the village of Glendarroch witnesses the arrival of Jamie's cousin along the high road.